Hello, brothers and sisters. I want again to welcome you to another new lesson. This is a lesson on characteristics of the deaf culture. Remember, in the last lesson, we gave the meaning of deaf culture and we discussed some things that make an interpreter to become a member of the deaf community, of course, through adopting of the deaf culture. Now, in this lesson, I want us to discuss about characteristics of deaf culture, and one of them is sign language. Sign language is important part of the deaf culture, of course. Members of the deaf cultures communicate via sign language. Now, this is one of the core characteristics of the deaf culture, that members of the deaf culture identify themselves by the use of sign language. For this case, we are talking about the Kenyan deaf community. Now, we have about over 200 sign languages in the world. Now, every country has its own sign language. But when it comes to deaf culture, it is uniform across the world, that the characteristics of the deaf people in this country are the same as the deaf community in any other country. So the deaf community will identify themselves by the use of the sign language, which is a core characteristic of the deaf culture. Another thing is about the second one is about the values and beliefs among the deaf community. So remember, a positive attitude towards deafness is typical in the deaf cultural groups. Deafness is not generally considered a condition that needs to be fixed. The deaf community or the deaf people do not value or look at deafness as a problem, but they look at it in a positive way, in that the term deaf is used by the deaf people, especially in our country, as I'm saying. Of course, we are focusing on the Kenyan Sign Language as a framework, of course, of the deaf people to contribute to the world. Now, they don't consider deafness as a problem, but as a way of making their own positive contribution to the world. So the use of sign language, as I said, is quite central to the deaf cultural identity. That's where they identify themselves using the sign language. So when it comes to values and beliefs, it's very important that we also, as members of the deaf community, come to appreciate this, that deaf people do not have problems, but it's a way of identifying themselves to contribute to the world in terms of development. So deaf people value the use of natural sign languages that exhibit their own grammatical conventions. Remember, as I said in another lesson, of course, during total communication lesson, I said that total communication comprises not only of sign language, but also of natural signs, facial expression, the body language, among others. So to the deaf community, it's very important that they value the use of the natural signs, because that's the grammar of their own invention. And so we, as the members of the deaf community, we have to agree with them when it comes to sign language as a characteristic, values and beliefs as another characteristic. The next characteristics is about the behavioral patterns. The behavioral patterns. Culturally, the deaf people have rules of etiquette for getting attention, not like in the hearing community. For the deaf community, they have their own way of etiquette of getting people's attention. For example, walking through a signed conversation is not acceptable. When people are conversing in sign language, you will not see a deaf person passing between the groups or between the people. So that is an etiquette for them. Another one is about the leave taking, that whenever they want to leave the place, they must alert everyone that they are leaving the group. So which is part of the etiquette and rules governing the deaf community. So they will always excuse themselves and let everyone know that they are going. And otherwise, politely, they do also negotiate an assigning environment. So whenever they want to excuse themselves, you'll see them using the words like please, excuse me, whenever they want to do something else. So this is a very important characteristic, of course, the behavioral pattern that makes deaf people to become one of the community in the world that has passionate, that they are passionate on the rules that govern them. So when it comes to rules of etiquette, they are very passionate that they'll never want to offend any of their friends or anyone. So let us mark on that. Another thing is the last one, of course, as a characteristic, is the use of technology. The deaf people today, especially in this 21st century, most and many deaf people are aware of the use of technology, and especially most of their phones are adapted in the manner that they suit their disability. And there are so many other things that involve use of technology that the deaf people are aware, especially when it comes to social media. The use of WhatsApp, especially for video calls, the deaf people are engaging in use of social media, especially use of WhatsApp, Skype, IMO, all those platforms. They are facilitating or contributing largely to the well-being of the deaf community when it comes to technology. There are some other characteristics of the deaf community that we will discuss about when it comes to deaf culture. So for this level, we discuss about the four. We have said one, the use of sign language. Number two, the values and beliefs. Number three, we have talked about behavioral patterns among the deaf community. And lastly, the use of technology by the deaf people in this 21st century. So make sure you practice and go through oftenly so that you master these characteristics of the deaf culture. See you.